Good morning and welcome to Backyard and Beyond, and welcome to San Diego and Kathryn Cloward. Good morning to you, Kathryn.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. And I have in front of me, it's too bad we don't have a little TV right now, because I have in front of me this book called Kathryn the Grape, and guess what color it is? Of course it's purple, right? It has to be when we're talking about grapes. So, Kathryn, we want to know a bit about the story in terms of how did Kathryn get born in this particular book?
That's a great story. One of my favorite things to talk about. Well, Kathryn the Grape, Just Like Magic, is the first book in the soon-to-be Kathryn the Grape series. It's a book that I wrote with Jody Duhamel and a woman named Christine Winscott, who's the artist who did all the illustrations. Kathryn the Grape, Just Like Magic is a story that depicts a lot of things in my life. It's inspired through a lot of vignettes of my life, including the nickname of Kathryn the Grape.
That's great.
It was actually a nickname that a softball coach of mine gave me when I was in elementary school over 25 years ago. It was a play on Kathryn the Grape because I wore purple every day, and it was kind of a fun way that he remembered all the girls' names. He gave us all nicknames. And so about 10 years ago, my mom had the idea that Kathryn the Grape would be a really great and fun children's book character. And so while we tried to write a few times together, my mom and I, it wasn't the right time or the right inspiration. And so a few years ago, I was going through kind of a difficult time in my life, and the last thing I thought I needed was another project. But what happened was, as I think divine inspiration is it just started, brewing in me and igniting me to share these stories of Kathryn the Grape. And really what they are life lessons, some of the lessons that I was learning in my adult life that kind of translated throughout my life, as well as lessons that my son was embarking upon as he's 4 now, but he was 2 and 3 while I was writing, was that these life lessons, these big important lessons of learning to be fearless and doing the right thing and helping others, compassion, that just translates throughout time. And so the ideas and the stories for Kathryn the Grape started really percolating in me. And I wrote by myself for a few months, and then I invited Jody in to kind of help me rework some of my stories. And then I'll never forget, it was August 21st, I woke up one day, and I had this kind of really important week of my life that led up to that day. And that night I slept like I hadn't slept in ages, and I woke up and boom, there was the idea and the concept for what would become Kathryn the Grape, Just Like Magic. So, I think that for me, I always say that Kathryn the Grape and the stories that are coming through, in this book and all the books that are going to, be after her, they're just these, they're coming through me. It's like they're inspiration, and I'm just kind of being led in the direction that the series needs to go.
And we want to talk a little more about the story itself, but I do want to talk a little bit about the illustrations, because first of all, I love kids' books. I just think they're the greatest things, and it's the words and the pictures that are so important. And as I look through it, there's just little extras that caught my eye in addition to the supporting the story. Like, I love at the end, the dog is sleeping with one of the monsters under the bed.
Yes, Christine Winscott is, I always say she's a genius. She's one of those true artists that, every single detail in the book is purposeful, not only in the story but in the illustrations. Christine has done an amazing job. She truly is an artist at the core, and that monster actually was. Christine, when she drew the monster, which is, that monster under the bed thing that we fear, that a lot of kids,
sure.
Even my son, this came out of my son going, Mommy, I'm scared, there's something in my room. And all kids can identify with this. I certainly could. And so Christine developed this monster, and then at the end, she showed Jenny Dog hugging the monster, which is really foreshadowing the idea that a lot of times what we fear, actually, we just don't understand it. And then when we are able to understand it, that also translates to love. So that's why, based off of Christine's vision of the monster and how she ended the book with it, all her own creative flow, I ended up naming the monster Lackagam, which is the word magical backwards, because kind of like from fear to love, the same way that Lackagam is to magical.
Mm-hmm. So lots of meanings in this book. Let's talk a little bit about the magic, because the kind of what I think was the subtitle, Just Like Magic, Kathryn the Grape, Just Like Magic. What are you talking about, magic? What does
That's
that mean?
a great question, because a lot of times I think people, don't understand, what magic is necessarily being talked about in a specific book that may say magic. The magic that Kathryn the Grape is talking about in this book is actually the magic of love. And what you'll see is that in the story, Kathryn the Grape has this magical butterfly friend, Maggie, who is really that guardian angel, wise grandma figure, who has gifted Kathryn with a magic wand, that is really an extension of Kathryn. She's able to use this quote-unquote magic to overcome fears, to try new things, to do the right thing. And with the climax of the book, what you find with Kathryn in her room with her mom is that her mom teaches her that the magic is within her, and that we all have this magic inside of us. And really what Kathryn the Grape purpose to teach is that we have love inside of us, and that this courage, this self-worth, this self-esteem piece that we so desire for our children to understand and grasp, that is what we're teaching in Kathryn the Grape. So the magic that we're teaching is actually love and self-worth and self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes as kids are growing up, when they maybe it's kind of when they start school, about that age, not necessarily school itself, it seems like a lot of those things that are magic, and I'm thinking like learning about Santa Claus, a lot of those things, it's like, okay, let's get on with life. Let's forget about that kind of stuff.
I agree. I totally agree. And I think I experienced that on my own. You kind of get into line. You do all that. You kind of, okay, now I'm in school and I'm getting, steered in the direction that I need to be steered. But the truth is that we all have this within us. We all have this, these amazing imaginations, and can be the receivers of incredible inspiration. And children are the best at that. I mean, my son loves to pretend. I mean, while I can get him to watch a video here and there and do different things, he loves to pretend and use different voices. And all kids love to do this. So if we can really nurture that in our children, and even adults, I mean, even for me and the other people who are involved in the Kathryn the Grape project, we're all discovering, wow, we're women, we're mothers, and we're going, wow, we have this, amazing gift inside of us too. So I think that the idea that we're all magical, that we have this beauty within us, it resonates with children, but also it's a great lesson for adults that are reading along with the children.
And all of a sudden more meanings come to this. One of the things that we hear so much about today is bullying, and it used to be that was just the boys, but not anymore. I'm sorry to say, now it's the girls too. How do you react to that? What can, I guess, this book do for parents and maybe schools that are concerned about bullying?
Yes, I know bullying is really taking a forefront right now, unfortunately, and I think, in my opinion, I think that one of the tools that we can give our children to help protect them from, one, being a bully, and two, being the target of a bully, is really what it comes down to is I believe, self-worth and self-acceptance. And so I think what Kathryn the Grape helps with children is allows them to go, okay, what we're teaching, especially even in our next book, Kathryn the Grape's Colorful Adventure, is also about that light, letting your light shine, your authenticity, who you are, your individuality. And then when you're coming from a place of, I am enough, I'm okay, being different, everyone's different, and that it's okay, that when someone is on the mean girl mentality or the bully mentality, on the receiving end of that, while it will still hurt, they can stand up for themselves in an honorable place. Mm-hmm. And also for bullies, that a lot of times, unfortunately, it comes from a very insecure place. When somebody wants to have control over somebody else, it's all about their own insecurities. But, we need to teach that to children. It's a big life lesson. I mean, adults do it too. Mm-hmm. You sit in the lunchroom and somebody rakes another woman across the coals, that isn't very kind. So we need to be teaching this as adults to our children in our own example as well.
Okay, I'm sure your book is available in a number of different places, but I want you to talk about your website, because order your book from the website and you get lots of extras. So tell us a little bit about your website.
Yay, thank you. Yes, Kathryn the Grape is available on a bunch of different websites, and we're trying to get her. We're working really diligently to get her into bookstores. We're an independently published book, so the more help we can have with that, the greater for us in spreading the magic. But yes, KathrynTheGrape.com, so it's spelled Kathryn, thegrape.com. You can buy our book online for $13. It's on sale right now. And then you get, we are able to autograph the book, and then also it'll be dedicated and personalized to a child within your life if you desire to do that. And then also we have Kathryn the Grape bookmarks and stickers and coloring pages that Christine designed. And then also one of the things that runs through my businesses is we give $1, the giving back part. And so we give $1 of every book that's sold on KathrynTheGrape.com is directed to the Kathryn the Grape Fund that then works with nonprofits that support education and sustainability. So, buying it through our website, we're also able to give back. And we're on Facebook, so we keep up to date with our readers and building the Kathryn the Grape community on Facebook, so you can find us on there too.
Well, Kathryn Cloward, perhaps we'll be visiting with you in the future here as we look at more books in Kathryn the Grape series, and we want to thank you for visiting with us today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Lavon.
Till next time, here's a thought. Self-love is not only necessary and good, it is a prerequisite for loving others.